Equals to what? Equals to what? Come on! Now, acceleration in y direction is what? What is acceleration in y direction? Hakiri bobotol mo mosal naman.
Acceleration in y is
Hakiri bobotol naman. Hakiri acceleration in y is... Guys, come on!
159?
Come on, acceleration in y. Why how should...
1.59 newtons, I guess what it is.
No, that's not acceleration. What does the symbol say?
Oh.
What's 159? That is force in y. I'm asking about the acceleration in y.
Acceleration.
Giovanni, what is acceleration in y? Anybody? It's right in your face. Here.
Oh,
this is what?
Oh,
What is that?
0. Oh, is it? Yeah, 0.
It's 0. Imi selek na serene. No sabe imi la kuliah. Alessandra, Antonia, Armandino, Cipriano, Delia, Giovanni, Celsius, Mario, Natalia, Silvero. Ba, hotod lo kay microphone. Presente to. Tabi to kimi na. Haron na to.
Here, teacher.
Why are you not speaking, ha? Unsay min mahusuban ni bila imni ibune suku metin tireta sa fatok ne. Why? What's wrong with you? You don't know how to speak? Tamsera mahuso na favani mesak mata. Resto ne ibun takametin tiya sa fatok sirabe. Takametin tiya ne. Tamsera? Ha? Hausu falitane hatang hotel label idaret ma hatang los imseluk ne tu rasti falbe. Mau bilan sirabe botel la kono imine. Naletang, sekarik, what is acceleration in y direction? What is acceleration in y direction?
0.
0. Very good. Then that's for the summation of force in y is equal to?
0.
It's equal to 0 because this whole thing becomes 0. Understand? Comprende to?
Okay, yes, teacher. I understood now.
Imna bele bilana fating ya. Rona gale. Im universidade tem que proactive. Has to be critical thinking. Think, and think. Emang husune hatan los nonok turte mai la prende betida fila fale uma. Maksudnya gastate ora sida mai la prende betruma nonok hotia kelas hoto. Semester weng repete. Hotia mane ami semester hotutia na mi akara graduan ama bia mi laten betida da. Hotia makabe buka hatama serviço. Haten said how laten betida. Pois escola hotia buka serviço e la fo serviço how. Da o laten betida mas fo serviço serbo. Okay? That's not good, yeah? You have to have a mentality of curiosity. That's what the student is. Curiosidade tem que ir. La bela imi turno no great. La ihe botira la coia participação mo betruma. Itane objetivo tu buka saida. What is our objective? To find what?
To find the normal force on the
to
box.
find the normal force on the box. What is the normal force represented in this equation?
Force. Fn.
Yes, Fn. So we move everything to the right side. So f of n is equal to... Okay, when you transfer f of g to the right side, it becomes... Positive. Transform f of y to the right side, it becomes negative.
Negative.
What is f of g? F of g na sada. Force of gravity is simply... Is simply what? The mass of the object times the gravity.
T.
Minus f of y. What is our mass? What is our mass?
1.2 kilograms.
1.2 kilograms. What is our gravity?
9.8
Yes, 9.8 what? Meters per second square.
Square.
Minus, what is our F of y?
1.59 newtons.
Yes, 1.59 newtons. Are the units all equal? Because kilograms times meters per second square is equal to Newton. So this whole thing
Newtons.
So therefore Newton minus Newton. So the unit is consistent, correct?
Yes, teacher.
Yes,
Yeah.
unit is consistent. Very important. Check for that. Okay, so for example, so what's the value? So 1.2 times 9.81 minus 1.59.
10.182
Yes, 10.182 what? What's the unit?
newtons.
Yes,
Newton.
yes. Okay. When you do an exam, please box your final answer like this. Box it like this, so that I know this is your final answer. Now, any questions on this? Any questions on
No,
this?
teacher.
Okay, let's together solve this quiz over here. Or not. Let's just do a new problem. It's problem number 2, problem number 3. Okay, assume the pulley. So for example, you have a pulley. Okay, so let's assume you have a pulley. Oh, this one is like a... Okay, this is like a pulley of something, yeah? And then you have 2 boxes over here. So one box is attached here. Let's suppose you have a box. Okay, you have a box over here. Let's just move this. Okay, and then you have a, let's suppose a cylinder. It's also attached here. And let's call this is a mass 1 of say 5 kilogram. This is mass 2 of 10 kilogram. Okay. Now we say assume. We assume that the pulley and rope are massless. Meaning the pulley and the rope has no mass. We are just making an assumption here. Okay? We're just making an assumption, yeah? What is the acceleration? What is the tension on the rope? Okay. Now, if I were to ask you to draw a... so let's draw a free body diagram. Okay, on mass 1, what is the Forces acted upon mass 1. Mass 1 ay force sa sera ma-aplika ba? Ha?
Pi kilogram.
You have the gravitational force, mass 1 times the gravity. And then you have
Tension.
the tension force. Yes, very good. The tension. And on mass 2 is also the same, right? You have mass of force of gravity, and then you have, so let's call this tension 1, and then let's call this tension 2. Okay? Toinek comprende kali? Toinek pergunta sama?
No, teacher.
Okay. Now, agora Augusto, do we have do we have a forces in x direction? Yes or no? Do we need do we have a summation of forces in x? 0, right? We don't have any forces in x.
No. No.
Do we have the summation of forces in... Okay, let's suppose for mass 1, what is the summation of force in y? That is on mass 1, yeah? You tell me. So it does simply equal to mass times the acceleration in y.
No.
Okay? So what is the summation of force in y at mass 1? Force sa y ni sa mass 1.
5 kilograms.
I'm asking about the force.
Oh, the force.
What
the
forces
force.
acted
Gravity
upon
and
mass
tension.
1? What forces?
Gravity and tension.
Gravity and
Force
Tension.
T.
tension. How do you write it? So Ft is positive or negative?
Positive.
Tension is positive
Yeah.
because if you were pulling something,
Yes.
technically the tension is going here, right? It's like going up over there. So, and then you minus or plus the force of gravity.
Minus.
Minus m1 times z is equal to m times ay. Okay. Now, again, what about the other one? For mass 2, our objective is to find the acceleration, yes? Now my question, before we go into anything else, does the acceleration of m1 and m2 the same or different?
Different.
Huh?
Yeah.
Same or
Yeah,
different?
Different.
Why different?
Different.
Why different?
Because what was it? One is more, was it, as one has less force, the other one has more force.
I'm asking acceleration. I don't ask force. I'm
Oh.
asking if
Oh,
what
acceleration.
are the acceleration
No.
the same or different?
Acceleration.
Sama dia lanesang. Sama dia lanesang. Who acceleration hanesang ka lanesas? Anybody else? Sama sertang? Hanesang. Tama sa'yo naman hanesang Celsius.
Quando sirvo che sia molto più veloce.
Yes,
Kung-
tama
kung,
siya naro kasi hamuto grid. Nebe ida lao na berarti siro lao tu ho aceleração nebe hanesang. Los galay?
Posso.
Senaro kan kasi hamuto grid. Nebe ida ne dada kare kanto ida ne ni movimento ne hanes mo so ida ne ni movimento. Tidak mungkin ida terkecuali tama saída tamba be buat nebe causa force buat nebe causa serenero atu move ne force nebe hanesang de. Kasi hamuto kuja tension tali na bare. Então, okay, now for force number 2, what is the summation of force in y? Maybe it has idea never y ni ta side rate tarit acceleration loss rate lo salai. Let's call this mass 1, mass 1. Mass 2, acceleration. What is the second for mass 2? Itene forza sercera aplica ba? This is ft1, so ft2 minus m2g lo salai. Los galay.
Los.
Okay,
Yes,
maybe
teacher.
aceleração ihanemos aceleração e demos aceleração. Então, habel aranja aceleração is equal to ft1 minus m1g divided by m1. Idane imatene galay. Idane imatene to? To ini imatene to. This is just simply algebraic. Lo salay?
Yeah. Yes, teacher.
The same thing goes with here. A2 is equal to ft2 minus m2g divided by
M2.
m2. Maybe acceleration is equal to maybe termuruane anesan a is equal to a lo salah. So ft1 minus m1g divided by m1 is equal to ft2 minus m2g divided by m2. Agora, imi hare equação ida nebe saida me hatene. Buat hotu imi hatene. Mass 1 imi hatene, gravity hatene, mass 2 gravity ne imi hatene. Saida me hatene, imi tension imi hatene. ft1 or ft2 imi hatene. Los galay.
Yes, teacher.
Okay? Então, o insama kita tubuka itani niya ne. O insama kita tubuka itani aceleração. O duke ita halo anesa ne, ita halo in select filafarit. Okay, let's just rearrange it. Almost ita ne. Ita add them, let's add them up together. Ita soma hamutok siya na dua. ft1 minus m1g equals to m1a. Yun eh, ft2 minus m2g equals to m2 times acceleration. Ita soma hamutok. Okay? So ita soma ida na hamutok kita itong sera. This one ft1 plus ft2 minus m1g minus m2g m1a plus m2a. So f t1 plus f t2 minus ita factor out the gravity ne. Okay.
So I'm doing a couple A. Let me write that down again. We had the left-hand side. The tensions go away. So I get M2G minus M1G, and that's equal to M1A
Hello, im sharon hagale.
Yes, teacher.
Tengo una
Now I think we make some mistakes over here. Ita halos halay hating room. Let's evaluate really well first. I think we make some mistakes over here. Okay, let's define first. Internet tension ne halayan ba? Internet direction and tension. Agora, se imi hareret ihane, imi hareret anasa just the physically, imi luka imi hareret ihane. Tuir imi ni hanoing se ita tau ida ne tuir imi ni hanoing ne sekarik senaro iha aceleração halay pa ba? Halay mai direção ida mas 1 nianga, halay ba direção ida mas 2 niang.
Mas wanted.
Why?
Because it is heavy.
It is.
It is heavy.
It's heavier. It applies more force. So technically speaking, yeah, sekarik nebe imiakarak atu be halo be, saida? Ninya tension kari kuinsa. Sekarik kita halo tension kari kuinsa. Imagine imi dada to, imi dada be. Como se diz? M2A, M2B. Now M2G is going that. Sekarang kita ni diak. Now we want to find acceleration is a bit difficult, huh? If we add them, what is the tension? If we just consider one of them, kita saya consider either date FT minus FT either positif, either tangki positif, either tangki negatif gitu. Okay, aneh. I think problema ini tricky itu ya. Bang here tendency kan aneh to. I think this is how it should be explained better. Tendency kan ya to halai mai hene los galai. Los to? Hara ya pink ne.
Yes, teacher.
Tendency ya to halai mai hene. Nebe sekarik ita kuliah kona ba. Considera ita niya be mas 1. So ita niya tension ne madara mai hene. Berarti kan ita niya dara. Tama saya dah makaturi bini hanuin. Tama saya dah ita niya tension ne. Ba hene ba? Tama saya dah ita niya tension ne araw ne up.
Because it's being
Tamba
less
niya
fast.
connected. Tamba niya connected hoy da ne lo salat because it is being pulled from this other mass 2 ne. Los galay.
Yes, teacher.
Tamba niya being pulling niya pull ida ne by mass ne mane. Maybe antaw se kare kita kare fale tension ya mass ke 2 fale entaw niya araw ne hakere fale wensa. Hakerek fale wensa. Hanesa nega, hanesa ne. Which way?
Downwards.
You mean like this?
Yes.
Why?
Because if it's being pulled up, then it's logical. Then the other one has to be pulled down because it's more heavier.
No, because if it's pulling up like this, then we are assuming that this M1, but technically the correct answer is this way, by the way, because technically speaking ini onya masa idane maka semakin idane kana hasuru malu tu ia buat rumah attach batali rua lo segala nebe ninya forsa ne semakin idane forsa idane dada ne idane aplika ne depende ba idane ninya todang ne hira lo segala tapi idane mos attach sama idane. Do you understand what I'm trying to say here? So it's
Yes,
like
teacher.
it's like if you have two things pulling things each other, right? If one of them, if both of them has 1 kilogram, this is also 1 kilogram. What will happen?
You'll have a 10.
what will happen to this? Will they move?
Uh,
No, right?
No.
Because
Yes.
they both have the same mass.
The same mass, yeah.
The same mass literally means the same force, technically. Pulling the same tension. So it's just pulling each other. So this one pulls, this one is also pulling the same amount. But if this is 5 kilogram, right? So in this way, this one is pulling, the gravity is pulling, but the tension that to hold it in place is going upward. Tama na may tanya arrow na upward. But the moment this thing pulls down, idanene has to have a counter at sa nibotir ni tendensya na eh. Maksudnya gitu. Sa karik maka idane makabe, sa idane 2 kilo, compara ho, por exemplo, idane 1 kilo, tuiri mini hanoy idane be masahalay makaslyo. Let's suppose this is 1 kilo. For example, 1 kilo here. Which of the two do you think will move faster?
1.
What?
I think 1 kilo.
1 kilo, right? 1 kilo will move
Yes.
faster. Why?
Yes.
Because it has less
Has less mass than
mass to pull, meaning less heavy
pull.
for F2 to pull. So because of that, when the tendency of the things that resist to go has to go down here. Like when you pull in an anchor, niya resist to Newton's third law of motion. For every action there is equal and opposite reaction. Comprende kale?
Yes, teacher.
That's why the arrow has to go from this. The arrow has to go on the other direction. That's why your f of t is supposed to be going that way. So this has to go like that. So f of 1 is, this is f of t1, but the tension in 1 and 2 is the same, so we don't need to put f1 and f2. Yeah, f1 and f2 we don't need to put it. So the tension, so this is the tension, yeah, this is f of t, f of t. Okay, so the sum is for mass 1, for M1 is Ft minus M1G equals to M1 times the acceleration. For M2, now this is a bit tricky. What is M2? M2 is equal to?
1 kilogram.
I know that, but I mean the summation of forces in for mass 2.
Oh.
That will be? The tension is will be negative because downward.
Oh. Yeah. F of t minus M
This will be
2
M2G is equal to
M2G.
M2 times acceleration.
to tension.
Okay, so we need to add them together. So you have Ft minus M1G. This problem is a bit tricky, yeah. I don't think I'm going to give you this in. So Ft here is cancelled because, so if you add them together, Ft minus Ft, that will be 0. That's right. So you will have m2g minus m1g is equal to m1a plus m2a. Then you factor out g is equal to m2 minus m1. A is m1 plus m2. So what you get? So acceleration is simply the gravity times the mass 2 minus mass 1 divided that by m1 plus m2. Okay?
Plus m2a.
Okay, if this is the case, if sekali kita ni M1 makasama dengan M2, saya dah makakontes eh. Ha? Sekali M1 dan ni equals to M2, sekali cara ni 2 hoto. 2 minus 2 hetan? Saya dah.
0.
This will make this whole thing 0. So that will make acceleration equals to 0. Lost?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, so therefore, acceleration is simply equal to... Okay, let's plug in the values here. 9.81. What is M2? M2 is 5 kilogram. 1 plus 5. Look,
Teacher, M2 is 1 kilogram, teacher. M1 is 5 kilogram. M2 is 1 kilogram.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait, M1 is what? 5, right?
M1 is 5 kilograms. M2 is 1 kilogram.
Yeah, that's what I'm writing. M2 is 5. M2. Oh, wait. M1 is 5. M2 is 1.
1.
What in the world? 1 minus 5. M1 is 5 plus 1. And this will make it a negative value. There is no such thing as... No, that will be a wrong thing to say. That will be wrong. Oh! This is supposed to be negative over here. Ito na thinking negative yan, nene. You see here?
Yes, teacher.
M2G has to be negative. This is this is supposed to be negative. This is supposed to be negative. Therefore, this one is supposed to be negative. And therefore, this one is supposed to be negative. Negative. Okay. Now we have acceleration. Acceleration is equal to that will be negative 9.81 times minus 4 divide by 4 divide by 6. That's about 6.54 meters per second square. Okay? So now that you know this, finding a tension is easy, right? You know the acceleration, finding tension is just plugging either one of this formula. Okay, let's just use this formula. F of t is simply equal to m1a plus m2a m1g, where just m1 of acceleration plus the gravity. M1 is just simply 5. Acceleration is what? We know to be 6.54 plus 9.81. Oh, acceleration, you know the, and then doing that you have 5, 6.54 plus 9.81. That will be 81.75. 81.75 Newton. That's the tension. Okay, any questions?
No, teacher.
All right. All right. So what about? Okay, you need to do a quiz, sheet work, yeah. Now, suppose you have this. Let's say I have a triangle like this. Okay, and then we have a box. And this angle is supposed to be theta. Okay. What is this number? What? Problem number 4. What is the acceleration assuming no friction, yeah? What is the normal force? Okay. All right, so what about this one? All right, what is the free body? Let's draw a free body diagram to the mass. Let's say let's just not use lalika uja numero ida ya. Agora ni lalika uja numero lai. Let's just think of like a physics, like how kari mi comprende di dia ni conceito, yeah. Let's just think about physics for now. All right, so what is the free body diagram? Let's draw free body diagram. Okay, on the block, what forces applies on the block? Forces seram apply by block ne. So you will have a force of gravity pointing this way. What else? What other force do you have? You have a normal force. Which direction is the normal force? The normal force has to be. This is the normal force. Comprende? Estamos hablando de normal force ni halai fale ba direction ni ba?
Because it's going in a slope.
Yeah, because the surface that touches each other is going that way. That's why. What else? So that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So therefore, but this mg over here, you can divide this mg into the component, into its own component. This will be the component of, let's just call this f of g, yeah. Then this will be f of gx. Okay, so this one, and then you also have let's suppose this one. Okay. And let's call this an angle theta. Let's call this an angle. If this is theta, this angle will be 90 minus theta, right? Hindi natin ito, 90 minus theta. That's easy. Alright. Okay, berarti ito niya side ida nene, sada. Ito niya side ida nene. Okay, so let's draw a free body diagram. Free body diagram naman siya. You have a normal force that is going up this way, Lazule.
Yes.
F of n. Then you have a f of g that's going this way, right? But then here f of g, dan naman siya tabel a component. F of g, ida ma f of g x, and then f of g y. That's where this is the angle theta over here. Okay, so this is our f of gx naman eh. And this is our f of g y. Masalah, ito fight the f of g ni ba component ida. So that's your free body diagram. I know this is a bit complicated, but that's it. All right. So what about, okay, so now that we know this, what is the summation of the forces in x direction? It's just simply mass times acceleration in x. Okay, what are all the forces in x direction? You only have the f of g in the x direction.
Yes.
Fgx is equals to max. Okay, what is fgx in this case? Fgx is opposite or adjacent to the angle theta?
Adjacent?
No.
Opposite.
If it's opposite, you use sine or cosine?
Sine.
F sine of theta. Ma of x. So remember, ito na objektivo is to find acceleration, yeah? So therefore, acceleration, okay. Or f of g, yeah? Maybe f of g equals to mass times the gravity times sine of theta equals to mass times the acceleration. Let's stop. Therefore, on a mass, it cancels out. You have mass, cancels out, so all you left with is g sine of theta equals to a of x. Therefore, a of x is simply the gravity divided by the sine of theta. Okay? What about the summation of the forces in y? That'll be n y. The net summation of force in y is what? Now we want to find the normal force, right?
F of g
the normal force minus fgy
y
equals to may. But fgy is equal to, fg is mg, mass times g, right, is equals to m of ay. So our force of n is simply mg plus may. Or hold on. We know mg. Wait a minute. Hold on. fgy is equal to sada. fgy niya adjacent ka opposite.
Adjacent.
adjacent. Therefore, we use the cosine. Fg cosine of theta. Now, do we have acceleration in y direction? Does the box move up like this? Like this or like this? Laida, losto?
Yes.
The box is moving like this only. So in this case, ita sa terbalik tiya. Ita never imarida ne sa karik imi rotate tiya. Technically, what we do here is we simply rotate this like this. Hareto? So let me just move this a little bit to the side. So if you rotate this whole thing, this becomes this. Like this technically. So only the ping ne masayte fali only x. On never rotate sa ne ni sayte fali sa ne. Comprende kale? So that's why you have x is the pink one. So sometimes this is the angle is making us the inclination. I'm a little confusing too, but it doesn't matter. It shouldn't be matter. So therefore, this whole thing makes it 0. This becomes equals to 0. So therefore, f of n is simply equal to f of g cosine of theta. But you know, f of g is just mass g cos. That's the normal force. Okay, this is the normal force. That's it. Easy enough. Now, what will happen if you have the same problem? Now, I want to do another problem over here. Let's do problem number 5. And suppose you have a two blocks of mass like this. Okay. Okay. Or let's call this mass 2 equals to 2 kilogram. And then let's call another smaller mass over here. And let's call this mass 1 kilogram. And both of them are joined by a pulley over here. Okay, both of them are joined by a pulley over here. Okay, so for example, this pulley over here. Okay, and both of them are joined with this rope. You have a rope. Let's represent the rope with a red line. Okay, like this. The question is, what is acceleration? Assume no friction, yeah. Okay, can you guys solve this? Do you want to have extra credit? Do you want to have extra point for midterm exam? You can solve this if you want. Otherwise, we can solve it together. Imiakara ka lakoy? Imiakara extra credit? If you solve this correct, I will give you extra credit for your midterm grades.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, solve this for extra credit in midterm. Okay. Let's say 5 points extra, yeah. Sa karik imi heta, let's make it 10. So motivates you a little bit. Sa karik imi heta 50, imi halo din lo sa aumenta tan 10 ba imi midterm sa 60. Comprende? Comprende kale?
Yes, teacher. Yes, teacher.
Okay, so how many minutes do you need?
10 minutes, I think.
What?
Maybe 10 minutes.
Okay. Do you still you already have the problem, right? Or do you need to see the problem? You have already the problem, right?
Can teacher show it again?
Okay.
Or I could screenshot it?
No need to screenshot it. I can just put it uh, side by side. Just putting it down here. Toto, halo kale. Everybody's doing it, right?
Yes, teacher.
What about Imselok? Imselok halo to? Alessandra, Antonio?
Hello, teacher.
Hello, teacher. Sina.
Hello, teacher.
Deve harei minha tempo ya okos na ba ni? Mi harei na ba? Harei na ba makuano be? To 10 na makane hoto na. Okay?
Excuse me, teacher.
Go ahead.
Teacher, how to send balance?
Laida. Preparare ya, kirim tie foto kirim ba WhatsApp. Hasate ba foto kirim ba grup WhatsApp ni.
Oh, yes, teacher.
Okay, time's up. Kiri mo na ka, Sidak? Yamin siya president ng tempo. Hello?
Yes, teacher.
Time's up. Hoto lang to
Yes,
kiri mo
teacher,
na. Or you need additional time.
Teacher, I need
At how many? 5 or 10?
teacher, I need more additional time, teacher.
How many minutes?
Sorry.
5 minutes or 10 minutes?
5 more minutes.
Okay. Just look at the timer. Okay, you have 10 minutes. Add 10 minutes, yeah? So up to 20, it's finished.
Thank you, teacher. Ano yun? Ay! Yeah.
Tunggu tengok.
Tôi có một cột lớn ở dưới. Lánh cả đây là cái thứ đấy.
Okay, time's up. Hoto tatama na?
Tama siya na, teacher.
Okay, good. Alright, be Saida semana ya sexta sábado e te continua a classe de cálculos física langsung beleza. Te break te tu e te continua langsung, eh?
Bele, teacher.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, that's it for today. I'll see you on Wednesday.